Well, who meant it anyway? Okay, let's do it.
Hi everyone and welcome back to my blog. Today I'll be talking to you about the Strawberry Hills Hotel located in Devonshire Street, Surrey Hills. The original hotel was built in 1871 and it was called the Southern Cross Hotel. Now it is a heritage listed hotel and I know that the publicans at the time, Ron Ordas and his sons, were really keen supporters of the live music industry in Australia. Now in 1994, I think the Hargraves family actually bought the pub and since about 2010 began some huge renovations which are still going to this day and it does look amazing. Strawberry Hills Hotel here on Devonshire Street, and I just found out that it used to be called the Palisades and then the Strawberry and then the Southern Cross and finally the Strawberry Hills Hotel. So I'm upstairs at the Strawberry Hills Hotel and I believe this used to be kind of rooms maybe, and I think the kitchen, which is here, was once downstairs. So this is what it looks like in 2024 and I've just spotted a DJ booth here. So yeah, this is it now. Really nice actually, kind of trendy sort of, you know, meeting, social kind of group, you know, area. It's lovely, it's really nice, I quite like it. Jazz made a resurgence in Australia and at a particular time and many a musician did find a home in a lot of, you know, venues in Sydney and Melbourne in particular. People like Michael Knock, Bernie McGann. The documentary Dr. Jazz by David Perry actually just showcases a lot of those fantastic musicians.
Well, I mean, I've been playing there for, basically since it started as a jazz thing, at least 10 years. I think that's pretty close to that. The only way we can develop as musicians is to have an audience, that's interested in what we have to say. That has really been the case with the Straub. And it's really, really gratifying. And it's been the audience at the Strawberry has been an integral part of the growth of the music.
There are a few books that I'd like to show you. There's one by Roger Griersin, this one here. He talks about a time when the Southern Cross was actually renamed the Strawberry Hills Hotel and they decided to throw a party. It was a Sunday afternoon and there were free drinks, the Johnnies were playing, and he invited Tex Perkins, who played there with the Dum Dums. I think it was one of their first Sydney gigs. He did actually say that there were hay bales around that were set up. The place was packed and but the pub apparently ran out of beer halfway through, and Roger tells a story where the skinheads started, you know, throwing, you know, bales and schooner glasses into the fans that were shattering and, you know, blood everywhere. And yeah, apparently during sort of this whole time the Johnnies continued to play and then apparently all the beer ran out and so chaos just, yeah, you know, there was chaos everywhere and the party had to stop obviously. Hi Edwin, thanks for joining me. So Edwin Garland, musician, producer.
What made Strawberry Hill exciting was the location and what was happening in Sydney at that time.
Yep.
And I think it was the post-radio Birdman thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Birdman had opened a floodgate for independent labels. A lot of people involved Birdman started labels. A lot of bands started, and from about 78, 79, and even like Midnight Oil and the Angels were influenced by Birdman, but it opened a floodgate. It was the main place you'd go to, and it'd be amazing because it was free. There was a lot of amazing residencies.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah. Like I remember the Triffids, and I read something about the Triffids. And another night you could go, and and I saw X, and they just threw me to the wall. They were so loud and so confrontational, and Lucas and Roll. And the gig I went to with X was actually the one that Kathy Green went to on a date with Mark Seymour.
Oh, wow.
And she says when she saw X, she had tribulation. She thought, this band's going to be part of my life.
Oh, wow.
And within a year, she was part of X. Also, there was tribal stuff going on because there was nights when you'd go down there, it was quite violent because, there'd be the mod night, and all the mods would be there, and the skinheads would turn up to try and bash them up. I remember going to one party and there was a Johnny Smith laying on the front lawn after a gig completely smashed.
Yeah.
I never ever realised how exciting this life we had was so exciting. And
I've also read that Stuart and Roger brought the Troggs, and they played at the Strawberry Hills Hotel as
another gig.
Wild Thing, the Troggs.
Another gig I went to.
Oh, you did? Wow, how exciting.
The barman would tell us, we'd turn up, oh, by the way, the Troggs are playing next Tuesday. Tells us, oh, yeah, okay. And the Gun Club were amazing. But the influence of the Gun Club affected a lot of bands, that cowboy punk, and how that it came a whole new genre of music. I think the Gun Club tour had a huge effect on it.
Why do you think so many venues closed down?
It goes back to the 80s. The first change was liquor licensing laws.
Yeah.
Fire regulations. These were fire traps, and with one entrance or whatever, and I had Stage Door Tavern, all those sort of venues. I think about 40% of the venues went because they couldn't afford to do what needed to be done. Poker machines.
Oh, poker machines, absolutely. Yeah, so absolutely.
I go into these rooms, whether it's the Epping Hotel or Strawberry Hill or whatever, or Evening Star, where once was the band room, where the bands played, is now poker machines.
Yeah.
Going, Stan? $12 and not a drop. Suppose I'll have to go and catch the old check.
Clinton Walker, there's I've shown this before. He does mention quite a few bands that played at the time. Lots and lots of articles and stories. He talks about the Triffids, the Scientists, and he does mention that the Strawberry Hotel sort of showcased this swamp rock sound where bands like the Johnnies, the Hoodoo Gurus, the Scientists, all kinds of those bands. So this page here, if you can see it, he says the Southern Cross became a centre of the scene alongside places like the Trade Union Club, showcasing a predominantly swamp rock sound with bands like those that I've mentioned. And the Beasts of Bourbon, he said, began life as a cover band. So there's a great picture, actually, of the Hoodoo Gurus by Francine McDougall, I think it is. What a great shot. Brett Myers apparently broke up the band The End after winning the band competition at the pub, and he joined Ron Pino to form Died Pretty. Now this book here, Confessions of a Lighthouse Keeper by Greg Appel, it actually, it just talks about the whole scene. It's a really good, story and just about the whole sort of period. I've got some excellent shots of them at the pub. And Greg does talk about the time when Clinton actually wrote a really good review about them in the Sydney Morning Herald that kind of drew a lot of crowds to the shows. Stuart Koo and Roger Griersin, they put on a night where the Troggs played at the Strawberry Hills Hotel. Troggs of the Wild Things fame. So if you were there, write it in the comments. What a night that would have been. I believe the Hoodoo Gurus actually supported them that night, and I've got a great set list that Steve Lawkn put up on Facebook actually, and it's a fantastic set list. Tex Perkins actually recounts that the Strawberry Hills Hotel was a small place, but everybody loved it. He said that there were local and interstate bands that played there 7 nights a week. You can actually read a lot about Tex's life in here. He did say that Yeah, Beast of Bourbon actually played their first gig there, I think, in 1983, and he said it was fun, easy, and people loved it. Can I just mention, actually, that I saw the Beast of Bourbon recently, or the Beasts, at the Metro in Sydney. Fantastic. Check them out if they're playing in a town near you. Dave Slade, he was a musician and a regular at the hotel. Bands like Brave New Works, The Model Husbands, his band Frankenstein and No Man's Land actually supported the scientists at the Strawberry Hills Hotel. I found a really nice illustration drawing that Mark Jago did of the pub. Oh, it was actually the competition, the Battle of the Bands competition. It's a really good drawing. In this book, The Real Thing by Toby, Creswell and Martin Fabinyi, there's a chapter that talks about Paul Kelly, and he sort of tells the story, it's in here somewhere, he tells the story of when he used to play at the Strawberry Hills Hotel, and he'd have to pass the Hopetown Hotel, and he mentioned that it was always packed at the Hopetown. There it is there. It's the article called, or the chapter called St Kilda to King's Cross. And he mentions that, it was, passing the Hopetown, it was like seeing a big party on a boat where everyone was having fun, people spilling onto the street, and it just looked warm and inviting. And then he would have to, go into the Strawberry Hills Hotel that only had about 30 people in there. Now, in this book, the new RocknRoll, the A to Z of rock in the 80s, there's a chapter called Fertile and Forthright, where Stuart and Glenn A. Baker, they actually talk about just a lot of the influences from America and England. They just said that, a typical night in Sydney where you could go to the Southern Cross and you'd see a band like The End performing a Velvet Underground inspired set, while, sort of a few blocks away, the All-Nighters had played to, 1,000 rude boys at the Trade Union Club. So you can find that in that particular sort of section of the book. Lots of fantastic photos. There's the Laughing Clowns, the All-Nighters, the Saints, the Gurus. It's a really good book, this one, actually. And it mentions that, even catching, bands like Detroit-inspired Fifth Estate, sort of just talks about the diversity, about this new music scene and a lot of the influences that did come from overseas. Ex-Lime Spider and member of the band Most, Richard Lawson, I read an article where he was chatting to the barman at the I-94 bar online music site. And he does recall an amazing period of time. He said it was an amazing initiative by the Audace team at the Strawberry Hills Hotel, as well as people like Stuart Kerr and Roger Griersin from, the Green Records label. Bands like The Scholars, the band Frankenstein that had, fantastic people like Dave Slade on. Coupe de Ville that had Bruce Tyndale. The band The End that came down from Brisbane. With Brett Myers and Ron Pino. And he said that there was a competition there where they were up against the Lime Spiders, and whilst they were really good, he said the Lime Spiders actually played a cracking set. They lifted the roof off, and they just kind of blew everyone away. Now, there is a book that you can read a lot about the Lime Spiders by Mick, vocalist Mick. So he says that it's his definitive story of his time. I read it. I thought it was pretty cool. So look, there are lots and lots of other books around that do talk about that era and mention a lot of the pubs that I've, or this particular pub anyway, the Strawberry Hills Hotel. In fact, in Stranded, that book by Clinton Walker, he also mentions the whole sort of extraordinary, music explosion. And he said that the epicenter was somewhere between the Trade Union Club in Surrey Hills and the Strawberry Hills Hotel. And he said that both of these venues were non-agency controlled venues, which kind of meant that they weren't under, premier artists. Kim Salmon of the Scientists and the Beasts of Bourbon, he says that the unifying factor had a lot to do with, the geography, the close proximity. And he does recall going to the Southern Cross broke and, coming out drunk. He's got a lot of, hazy memories. And Kim, of course, has been called lots of things, and I think the grunge title, Godfather of Grunge, if you're wondering what that means, look it up. It's a lot to do with the Scientists' first album, and and him mentioning that word way before Nirvana sort of kind of came into it.
Mudhoney and Nirvana were listening to WA's very own Kim Salmon as they developed their sound, that sound, and we're delighted to say for this Vinyl Friday, Kim joins us. Kim Salmon, welcome to you.
Thank you, and what a welcome that is, and I've got to live up to something here.
Well, yes, the godfather of grunge is a pretty serious nickname. Starting out...
Serious nickname.
Now, regarding why it closed, the owners apparently talked about, having to maybe, do a lot of work to the place and limiting the number of people in the room and sort of knocking things down. And they were even thinking of, just sort of getting rid of the bottle shop so people could actually see from that area. And look, I guess there was a big increase in the whole gaming culture, poker machines. So you could sort of see how obvious that was when the owners in December 1997 actually replaced the live jazz room with the pokies. Look, they can talk all they want and say that it was from the economic point of view, but yeah, that still sucks. They said something like the days of rollicking live music in hotels are over, and that few hotels have the capacity to cover the costs of, crowd pulling bands and subsidise the smaller bands, and that the tax spoils were so high to the government that they sort of felt that they had little choice but to succumb to that goddamn poker machine epidemic, I should say.
Hey, mate.
Hey, Jessa, do you like playing the poker machine?
Nothing wrong with a harmless bit of a gamble, mate.
In London, 40% of small music venues have shut in the last decade.
Yeah, in the 1970s here in Soho, there were more than 100 live music venues. Today, there are just 6.
The music's almost over at the Bendigo. This weekend, the pub called Last Drinks after its public liability insurance went from $35,000 to more than $100,000 a year.
Look, lots of bands played at the Strawberry Hills Hotel. Too many to mention. Have a look at the posters that I've included. I'm sure there's a lot more that, I haven't been able to find any images. It's just worthy mentioning that so many bands did kind of, use those fantastic places to just showcase their talent, the Triffids. Bands like JFK and the Cuban Crisis, the B Suburban, the Johnnies, the Screaming Tribesmen, another great band, Flaming Hands, Box the Jesuit, Do Re Mi, just lots and lots of bands, the Huxton Creepers. I could go on and on and on. So look, I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. If you do have any bands that I haven't sort of put up, or that you've got any memories, please write them in the comment box. And let me know. So yeah, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to check out any of my other vlogs, just scroll down and I've got lots up already. So hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.